What is Rafale Deal? Ambani Ghotala, crony capitalism, biggest scam of the century, fascism, dictatorship under the guise of democracy, pseudo-nationalism, open loot of Indian taxpayers' money and so on and so forth. Are these just allegations, or are these TRP grabbing tactics, or are these sinister ploys, or is it something for real? I explore these in full details for you in this video, and by the end of it, it will become very clear to you as to what the real actual Rafale deal is.
Greetings, my dear viewers, and
Welcome to this video. This time I have chosen a slightly different topic that may have some political connotations, but then I thought that if such fundamental things such as the quality of the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat are all dictated by the policies of the government, then it will be nothing but escapism to run away from it. Instead, I chose to have my own little investigation on the Rafale deal and my own little verdict, and I also thought that probably I can share the benefit of my investigation with you through this video. In this video, I am going to cover following topics. What is Rafale deal? Why was it needed urgently? What is the history of this deal? We'll go through that in a very briefly, procurement methodologies, the price of the deal, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, Anil Ambani controversy, Make in India, full in-depth unfolding of the offset clause along with its implementation. Let's take the first point, which is the Rafale deal. So let's see what this Rafale deal is and why there is so much hullabaloo, commotion, fuss, ruckus and outcry on this. It is a deal where the Indian Air Force needed few fighter planes to meet their basic defense demand, and after due diligence, France's Dassault Aviation Company was chosen to supply the combat aircrafts called as Rafale. That's it. That's the deal. Very simple, isn't it? Well, I wish. So why was it needed so urgently? Let's delve a bit more deeper into that. In order for the Indian Air Force to counter any possible threat from our friendly neighbors and to safely defend our western and northern borders, they had stipulated the requirement to have 42 combat air squadrons. A squadron consists of 18 aircrafts. Therefore, in total, the ideal requirement is to have 42 multiplied by 18 equal to 756 aircrafts. However, at the moment, we have only 31 squadrons. Now, why is there such a gap between the needed number and the actual reality? Well, it's a long history that dates back to 1991 and possibly linked with the disintegration of USSR, lack of budget at that time, so on and so forth. That means we are already on a defensive course because straight away we are already short by 11 squadrons from our safe requirement. Out of the existing 31 squadrons, 11 of those are made of MiG-21s. Now, MiG jets are Russian-made aircrafts that form the backbone of the Indian fleet, which have been the most accident-prone. The MiG jet in particular has become known as the flying coffin or the widowmaker. As per BBC's report, in 2012, India's then Defence Minister told an astonished parliament that more than half of the MiGs it had purchased from Russia had been lost in accidents at a cost of over 200 lives. These machines will finally be going out of service in 2022. So by that time, we will have reduced our strength by further 11 squadrons, taking our total to a meager 20 squadrons, which is less than half of what is required by our forces to safely defend India. Now, this clearly is an alarming gap, and unless urgent steps are taken, we will not be able to fulfill that gap, because there is considerable lead time between when you give the order and when they are actually delivered. We cannot just go out, take the flights, tuck it in a pocket and ready to go. It doesn't work that way. So this is the reason, this is the need of the hour, and that is why they are urgent, that is why they are needed now. In order to get full understanding of this deal, it is important to have a perspective which we can get from its brief history. So let's look at it. In 2001, our squadron capacity was 39.5 squadrons, which was down from 45, right? And the IAF stipulated that they will need 126 aircrafts, which is 7 squadrons. So this number probably was arrived at by taking into consideration the possible delivery dates for the new aircrafts and the number of old aircrafts that would go out of service by that time. In 2001, Request for Information, which is RFI, was issued by the Indian government, to which 4 manufacturers responded by pitching their 6 aircrafts, and they were Swedish Saab's Gripen, Eurofighters Typhoon, French Dassault Aviation's Rafale, Russian Mikoyan's MiG-35 and Americans F-16 and F-18s. In these discussions, you will often hear the acronym MMRCA, which stands for Medium Multi-Role Combat Aircraft. It simply means is that these aircrafts MTOW, which is the maximum takeoff weight, is in between the existing heavy Sukhoi and light 5th generation aircrafts. So the MMRC tender was issued on 28th August 2007. For the next 4 years, the IAF conducted technical evaluation and flight trials, and only in 2011 where the Eurofighters Typhoon and Dassault Aviation's Rafale were declared to have met the IAF criteria. And on 31st January 2012, Rafale was declared the L1 bidder. Now you will hear L1 quite a lot during these discussions as well. So L1 is an abbreviation for the lowest bidder, but has somehow also become synonymous to our present system of evaluating the bids. So the commercial offers that are obtained in presence of the vendors are open and are evaluated. The lowest of these offers, which is L1, is selected and awarded the tender. So this is how the procurement process works. So this tender was for 126 planes, and through this arrangement 18 were to be bought in flyaway condition, that means ready to launch, and the remaining 108 were to be developed and manufactured in association with Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, which is HAL. So let us try to understand what are the possible reasons of choosing Rafale. So the reasons given for selection of Rafale included lower unit cost and lower overall life cycle cost compared to the Eurofighter's Typhoon due to lower fuel consumption and simpler maintenance requirements. So this was one of the reasons, I guess. Then the second reason, defense analysts also point out the operational performance and compatibility with Indian subsystems as possible reasons. And historical reason as well, and that is also considered by analysts to be a potential reason, as France was also the only Western nation not to impose sanctions after India tested 5 nuclear devices in 1998. Let's look at the short chronology of the current government regarding this deal. In 2015, in France, a statement of intent was given by the Indian Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, stating that his government may buy the Rafale aircrafts. After 14 months of negotiations, the Contract Negotiations Committee CNC and Price Negotiations Committee PNC, they both after due diligence approved it, and only then the supply order was processed. Minister of State for Defence Mr. Subhash Bhamre declared in Rajya Sabha that the intergovernmental agreement for procurement of 36 aircrafts with the French government was accorded approval by the Cabinet Committee on Security, and that was on 24th August 2016 and it was signed on 23rd December 2016. Now this is the brief history of the Rafale deal along with the key milestones, along with their dates and statements backed by the relevant office bearers. So these are facts, clear, simple, straightforward. Let's quickly go through the procurement methodology. Now there are two types of methodologies that the Indian defense sector undertakes in order to buy these defense related stuff. First one you can see is the global tender, and then the second is the G2G basis. So this government chose to get ahead or to go ahead with the G2G model, also known as the intergovernmental agreement. That's the agreement between the two governments. And the reason for that is that there are no middlemen, no corruption, and no bribery. As simple as that. Plus, since it is at the government level, there is a sovereign guarantee that the stuff will be delivered, there is a timely delivery of the equipment, and the price is economical because, as I mentioned to you earlier, there is no broker, no commission agents, and no middlemen. Now we come to the crucial part of this whole deal, and that is the pricing. Since this is one of the biggest defense deals that the Indian government has made recently, it is implied that it will have some complexity involved in it, which I will try to explain in the simplest possible way. So please bear with me as we go through this. The overall deal price is made up of two elements, right? One is the basic costs of the basic frame, and then the second is the add-ons. That's it. You combine the two, you get the total price. Simple. Now, just to draw parallel from the car buying experience, right? So the car's quoted price covers only the bare bone functioning car. However, if You want the AC, retractable sunroof, 19-inch alloy wheels, heated seats, metallic color, leather interior, state-of-the-art audio-visual entertainment suite, after-sale service, roadside assistance, and so on and so forth, and all of these package on top of the basic car. That is obviously going to cost you a bomb. Well, exactly the same thing is with the aircraft and these kind of purchase, especially when it comes to operating these combat machines to the widely varying Indian climate across its vast geography. In addition to these add-ons, there is some more complexity, and that is multiple variables involved, which is the price escalation factor, the inflation, and the foreign currency fluctuation between the euro, the dollar, and the rupee. With this background in view, let us analyze the price. Minister of State for Defense, as we seen, Mr. Subhash Bhamre, declared the cost of each Rafale aircraft as approximately rupees 670 crores. Now this is for the basic frame only, that's we need to remember. So for fleet of 36 aircraft, which consists of 28 single seat fighters and 8 twin seat fighters, that makes the 36. If it is loaded with all the extras, as we have just discussed, then the price will obviously change. That's obvious. India's Defence Minister, the then Defence Minister Mr. Arun Jaitley, and the CEO of Dassault Aviation Mr. Eric Trappier have confirmed that if you compare the price that we have finalized in 2016 with the price of the 18 aircrafts in 2007, then the price we are getting now is 9% cheaper for a basic aircraft and 20% cheaper for a fully loaded aircraft. You will also hear claims that Eurofighter was offering similar aircraft at 20% cheaper than what we decided to purchase from Dassault. However, according to the defense procurement procedure, once the L1 bid is opened, these kinds of gestures and offers are not entertained because of the obvious reason, which is commercially you cannot go back to the winner of the L1 bid saying, oh, hold on, you know, there is this someone other is giving me another cheaper price, you know, you can't really do that. So once the L1 bidder was declared, that was the end of the story. It was also revealed that the total deal for 36 flights is rupees 59,000 crores. Now let us do some basic maths. Now to really understand the nuts and bolts of this pricing, bear with me for some more time. If it is rupees 670 crores per flight, then for 36 flights it will be rupees 24,120 crores. So how come the total deal is costing 59,000 crores? Well, the difference between these amounts, which is rupees 34,880 crores, is for the add-ons that we have ordered on top of the basic aircraft. If we divide this amount with 36, we get the amount of the add-ons per aircraft as 969 crores rupees. If we total both these, which is the basic and the add-on cost, then we get the total cost per aircraft as rupees 1,639 crore rupees. Now let us see in detail what these add-ons are and how much do they cost. So 1.7 billion euros are for the India specific enhancements. Now what does that include? Those enhancements include a radar warning receiver to detect enemy radar and low band jammers to foil it, a radio altimeter, Doppler radar, extreme cold weather starting up devices, especially airfields like Leh, and helmet mounted display sights that as soon as the pilot aims at the weapons merely by looking at that target, they can be hit. Then 700 million euros for weaponry such as Meteor and Scalp missiles. 1.8 billion euros for spare parts and engines, and 350 million euros for performance-based logistics to ensure that at least 75% of the Rafale fleet meets operationally available at any point of time 24/7. Depending on the currency exchange rate, these add-ons can total to anywhere between 969 crores to rupees 1063 crores per aircraft. And as we have seen earlier, when you add these to the basic cost of 670 crores plus 969 crores, you get the total deal, which is 59,000 crores. Now, did we get a raw deal out of this? Now, you will hear this phrase often on this topic, and that is comparing apples with apples. It is very difficult to have like for like comparisons because each deal is unique. However, as long as we are comparing only apples with apples, despite there being so many different types of them, then we should be more or less in the same ballpark figure. What I mean is that let me do a comparative analysis of the price of the done deals with two countries. Now, you can authoritatively compare the prices only when it is a done deal and not when it is half-baked cancelled deal, as some people want to do it by comparing this deal with the cancelled and scrapped negotiations that happened in 2012. So let's focus on the done deals that were executed for the two countries. So first one, the Egyptian Air Force paid 5.2 billion euros for 24 fully loaded flights, which means 217 million euros per Rafale, which in today's exchange rate comes to 1767 crores per aircraft. What this means is that compared to this deal, our deal is cheaper by 120 crores per flight, and that is 4,608 crores overall. Similarly, the Qatar Air Force paid out 6.3 billion euros for a similar number of fully loaded aircrafts, which turns out to be 262 million euros of, that means 2133 crores per flight. In other words, our deal was cheaper than that of theirs by 494 crores per aircraft, which totals to 17,784 crores across the two squadrons that we have bought. Thus, we can see that despite fully customized add-ons, the cost that the Indian government got is much cheaper than what the Qatar and Egypt governments got. Now let us come to the much talked about raw deal that Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, i.e. HAL, got. But before that, let us understand this concept, which is called as offset clause. So what is this offset clause? Now the logic behind this clause is that
some percentage of the
overall deal must be reinvested back in India through either the Indian companies and or through joint ventures with the Indian companies. The government that was in power in 2002-2003 laid out a detailed defense procurement procedure called as DPP, abbreviated as. Under that DPP, they outlined that the offset partners can be either the public sector units, PSUs, and or private companies. Which offset partners to choose is a sole prerogative of the OEM, which is the original equipment manufacturer, which in this case is Dassault Aviation of France. They will choose who they would want to go ahead with. So they sent an expert team to assess which PSUs and private companies in India can they team up with. Now, That team assessed various companies based on their technicality, capability and many other detailed in-depth criteria, and it is widely believed that they totally rejected HAL and chose Reliance as the sole partner under this offset clause, and this is not fully true, as I am going to explain it in detail in the later part of this video. What Dassault said is that as part of this special commitment, i.e. if they have to be the single point of responsibility, then they cannot fully rely on HAL as the lead partner. It was their statement, if it was their stance. So let us understand this HAL capability. Now you would ask, why would that stance be from Dassault? Therefore, let us talk about the capability of HAL and its brief history. In 1983, the Ministry of Defense had given the order of 40 Tejas air fighters to HAL, and till date they have not received the full quantity. That is, in the last 35 years, they are still not able to completely deliver the order. Possibly that can be one of the many reasons why they were not chosen as the lead integrators in this deal by Dassault. At the start of the video, I briefly mentioned the sorry state in which our current MiG squadrons are. The Congress government found HAL guilty for the MiG related accidents, and it is available on affidavit. The reason why I am mentioning it here again is to highlight the subpar quality in not only not delivering the orders on time, but also not maintaining the existing fleet in usable condition. One may indeed ask that what was done to improve the technical capability, the production capacity and infrastructure of HAL in the last 10 years prior to 2014. Well, let's leave it there for that question. However, since 2014, you can see that the order book of HAL, that means the orders given to them by the Indian government, has more than doubled as compared to those given by the previous government. That means the order book with HAL in last 4.5 years has been 22,000 crores per year, as compared to only 10,000 crores per year during the previous government. In order to gain efficiency, competition is of utmost importance. Probably some of you may be aware of how we were held to ransom when there were only Indian nationalized banks allowed in the banking sector. And by that, what I mean is, we were at the mercy of their opening times, which were absolutely pathetic. They used to open at 10:30 a.m. and after 4 long hours of working, they used to shut down at 2:30 p.m. That's it. And that is it, right? However, once the private sector was allowed to come in, then these same banks are now working full 5 days, and some of them are also working on Saturdays. Now look, this is what I meant when you say competition. And the same is true in any sector, including the defense sector. And hence, the defense corridors are being built so that only the fittest will survive, and those who are the laggers will either need to buckle up or face extinction. Now, some will quote that if the deal with Dassault and HAL was 95% done, then why did it fail in 2012? Probably it is a question to the government during which this happened. Well, few of the reasons that we have unearthed for this failure were, as discussed just now, the production turnaround capacity and concerns around quality requirements were paramount, which is a no-brainer. And the labor cost of manufacturing 108 aircrafts in India would have costed 2.7 times more. That could have catapulted the overall cost of the whole deal. Now let us deal with the much talked about controversy where it is alleged that Anil Ambani is the only person benefiting from this whole deal. Now let us explore how these claims are not only baseless and ill-informed but are also sinister and filled with the agenda to malign the current government. The CEO of Dassault Aviation, in his press statement of 26th October 2018, has made it amply clear that their company's relationship with Ambani's went back to 2012. So this is before 2014, right? Plus, he reaffirmed that out of the offset commitment of Dassault, which in this case is 50%, for the total deal of 59,000 crores, which comes to 29,500 crores, only 3% is going to Reliance, and that amount comes to only rupees 850 crores. So how did these 30,000 crores come into picture, which apparently, according to many TRP seekers, is all going to Anil Ambani? Well, it appears that the opposition has conveniently rounded off this 59,000 crore deal to 60,000 crores, and then 50% of that deal comes out to 30,000 crores, which they erroneously attributed as only going to the Ambanis. Now this is pure sensationalist agenda and absolutely nothing more than that, which we are going to see. So these people then throw in the statement of the former president of France, Francois Hollande, wherein he claimed to have said that there was some meddling in terms of choosing the Reliance as their offset partner, to which Mr. Trappier confirmed that Mr. Hollande admitted that there was some misunderstanding on his part and that they had found Reliance of their own accord, that means Dassault Aviation, in 2011-12, and which was done well before Mr. Hollande and well before the current Prime Minister of India. Offset clause. So I have already explained in detail what the offset clause is and how it works, and how unnecessarily choosing only one company's name to suit your agenda is wrong. So far, 72 companies have been finalized to provide the parts and services, and remaining are in the process of being finalized. So this whole offset clause is being distributed in those companies. If only 3% of the offset deal is going to Reliance, then what is this halla baloo about Reliance benefiting so much through this deal? Well, I can create
another TRP grabbing controversy for you.
Let us say you picture the owner of Godrej meeting with the PM Modi. The next day, you caption that photo saying that Godrej is the benefactor of the Rafale deal, which in a way is true, but by inference it implies that it is the only benefactor, which is not the case. Along with Godrej, there are 71 other companies, thus same logic applies to Reliance as well. So you would wonder, how come so much reams of print have been wasted on this? Because it is a simple formula. Take two big names that are trending, which in this case is Ambani's and PM Modi, then mix them in a grinder of Rafale, and there you go, a nice TRP increasing puree is ready, and that can be served anytime on your 24/7 news channels which you are waiting for sensational news anyways, either a 30-minute sample or maybe a 60-minute news, and there you go. Your revenues, advertisement revenues, TRP ratings are all sorted. Simple formula. Make in India. You will also find people mockingly asking as to what happened to your so-called Make in India pledge that you keep on bantering about. Now let us see what happened to that as well. Now LiveFest has obtained access to the first comprehensive details of Dassault's offset plans and their commitments. Now the details below reveal that Dassault Aviation has so far forged partnerships with at least 72 firms for industrial sourcing areas that span Rafale's airframe, its SNECMA M88 engine, radar, avionics, aeronautical components, engineering and software. This in effect is the first specific and overall sense of what Indian terms or firms will bring to the table as far as the Rafale deal is concerned.
20 contracts have been allocated and 14 are under consideration for airframe, which consists of roll equipment, tools, mechanical parts and sub-assemblies that will be manufactured across all these different cities that you are seeing on the screen. The companies marked in red are joint venture companies that Dassault and its partners have already incorporated in India. 5 contracts have been allocated under aero engines consisting of mechanical parts, tubes and pipes manufactured across Bangalore and Mumbai. 13 companies have been allocated contracts under radar, engineering works and avionics integration consisting of these items plus display, test benches and electronic boards across these cities. Aeronautical components and equipment under this category 14 contracts have been allocated and 2 are under consideration, which will consist of accessories cabinet, simulator services and ground support equipment spread across these cities that you're seeing on your screen. 20 contracts have been allocated under engineering, software and services consisting of software and engineering, technical publications and MRO spread across these companies located under these different cities that you're seeing on your screen.
This, my viewers, is the pura sach, i.e. the real truth behind this deal. You can of course cherry pick few bits and pieces and make it a big deal to suit your agenda, or you can choose to look at the facts with straight and honest perspective and then decide. If you view something with red glasses, then you will see everything red. Hence, it is imperative that we remove any biases that we may have and watch the execution of this deal as a record marathon that was completed in the time of a sprint. That means the discussions, the negotiations, the conversations, the toing and froing to get such an important deliverable for our national security has been going on from 2001 till 2014,
but nothing substantial
happened. And then since 2014, when the mantle was being handed over to the new government, the first delivery of the aircrafts will begin in September 2019. That means just in 5 years, you have seen the real results. This is equivalent to completing the marathon by Usain Bolt's speed. And we all know who that Indian Usain Bolt is. Hope you liked my video. If you have liked it, then please do hit like. If you want to stay tuned with all my upcoming videos, then please do subscribe. And if you think whatever material I have produced in this video from the various sources that you have seen on the first slide, and then please feel free to share this video as well. So be safe, stay tuned, see you soon. Jai Bharat.